What up? What up?
How's it
Finally
going?
back on the live stream. What is up, Dion? Good to see you, man. I feel like the only time I really want to live stream nowadays is with you, man. With select few people. We just got off. For those that don't know, BitBoy's live stream. He had us on as guests. It was a great time. If you guys saw us there, we really appreciate it. Dion, man, what's up, man? I saw it was your birthday a few days ago, man. How you enjoying yourself?
Yeah, I'm still enjoying my birthday month and had a lot of things planned out. And I hung out in Arizona, so that was cool. I might go to a couple more states. We'll see what happens. But so far, I've been having a good time. My joints are aching a little bit, but that's okay. I'm just kidding.
You still hold ABT, right?
Yeah, right. But no, man, I've been really good, and I've been just trying to catch up on rest, and yeah, just trying to keep my mind right and stay focused. I know a lot of people get kind of worried about stagnancy or some red line for a little bit, red waves. But these are all opportunities that we're still early to the market. There's a lot of things still happening that are bullish for the market. So again, I think a lot of people that are just coming in, keep in mind, we still got really a good year and a half to take a look at things. So, you're to DCA is still a good justice for you. So don't feel like you can't, just because you don't got all the money today, doesn't mean anything. You're supposed to create a portfolio or a life portfolio. So, don't have false expectations that you're going to get rich overnight. We can go to zero at any point today, but keep in mind to build your portfolio over time. It does take a long time. It's no different than a 401 or IRA. It's going to take years to build it, but you will have growth. And I think it's all about consistency.
Yeah, man. Well said. What do you think? Because you've been around for many cycles. I'm sure you get the comments too. Oh, the bull cycle is over, or it's canceled. We're in a bear market. The Bitcoin all-time high was already in 74K. What is your answer for like people? Because we saw this happen last cycle, right? Like we always see this tug of war go on in the bull cycle, where some think it's going on for 20 years, some think it's never coming, some think it happened already. Like what is? So I'm getting a lot of these questions as well. What is your advice to somebody who is trying to figure all this out? Like my typical advice is just kind of like put your blinders on, always be ready just in case we see like an earlier, altcoin season, which we'll get into in a little bit. But just do your thing and accumulate crypto at big discounts. What is your overall message though? Just curious.
Well, every cycle, the total market capitalization does several multipliers. I remember the top at one point at a particular cycle was 300 billion, and then from 300 billion, it went to 3 trillion, and then now it's settled around 800 billion, and now we're about 2.4 trillion. So I'm still anticipating well over 10 trillion of total market capitalization. So I think a lot of people are early, and I think when you see big numbers in the market, I still think that these big numbers are minuscule compared to what they're going to be in the future. A lot of people disregarded ETH or Bitcoin opportunities because of the price, and there's still opportunity. There's still scarcity happening. There's not everyone in the world is in crypto yet still. So, there's still a lot of growth to be had. And for a lot of you that say, well, I'm going to make a few million and I'm going to be out the back door, I used to tell myself things like that all the time. And, you start realizing that, you're always going to be back. You're always going to have a reason that you need more money, or you want to do more things for your life or your family, your friends. And I know a lot of our people want to take, their closest people with them. Not everyone's going to make it in this world, and not everyone's going to make it through what's coming in the economy. And there's only going to be a select few people that are in crypto that are going to do really well, because a lot of people do fail because they give up, or they don't have the consistency or the dedication. But at the end of the day, for those of us that are going to win, there's a handful of people that I love that I'm going to take with me.
Yeah, man. And money aside, I like the challenge of this, like finding good cryptos, holding. Like it's like anything else in life, like I love going to the gym. I know you do too. Like you start from the bottom, you work your way up, and then over time you get more confident, you get better. And yeah, I know for sure, even if I make a lot of money this cycle, I'll still be back next cycle, because it's like you just want to keep doing this. You know, it's just fun to find like unicorn companies like Art Block. I doubt we're gonna find a better call than Art Block over the longer the cycle in terms of multipliers. It's already up like a, I don't know, 55.
I do, I do feel like it's going to be this cycle's like Solana run. You know, I really do. I think it's going to be a big banger still. You know, I know a lot of people want to, you know, because I have about 6 picks that I stack or whatever, but like a lot of people are like, oh, you know, how come you're not harping on Arc Block? Well, I don't need to. I stopped talking so much about Arc Block around the $1.50 range. It's at $3 and something now. And it still has a lot more room to grow. I'm still thinking 80 to 150 on that. You know, it reminds me of Cosmos and Dot because the same backers is backing this 3.0 project. So, you know, I feel like it'll get relatively similar market caps. And if we get to close market caps of what they did their first run up, that's like 8 billion, 15 billion market cap. That's 80, 150 on Arc Block. So the odds are in our favor for that call, and you know, we've done really well with it so far. But like, I don't think it's anywhere near finished. And Robert, I've spoken to him in depth about long-term vision, and he said it's never going to migrate. He has his own mainnet. You know, there's his own things that he could do. It's transitionable between ERC20 to ABT mainnet. No migration needed. Like, you know, and then the DApp store is coming out. There's so many different things that we could look forward to, and he gives us a nice place to store value with that expectation. Like, hey, this is it. This is the token. No one's leaving. You could store value here. You don't got to worry about any sort of alterations. That's what investors care about. You know, that's what I care about. Like, me and you, when we're picking out things, it's like we want that long-term capital gains position. You know, we want to be able to hold a position where we could get to those bracket levels, you know, because short-term gain sucks. So, you know, to find a project or find projects that we know are going to stay put, we know a lot of growth will happen there. So we could keep our money there for longer periods of time. It sucks when, you know, you put a lot of money somewhere and you get bad news. You know, like you could be sitting on a 10x, but I'm not happy about having to take a 10x after 5 months of holding. That sucks, you know? So just because, you know, a lot of investors hate this, you know, or like when we have to pivot because of some sort of bad news, but it's like, we don't want to do it either. You know, we don't want to take that impact, you know, but I'm not going to sit here and go to zero with you either. So it is what it is.
Yeah, like I genuinely don't like announcing when I'm selling a position, making a swap, because I know that community, they're just gonna hate. Like I've done it before. I pivoted from HBAR, I pivoted from Gala, pivoted from Jasmine, PRQ, and you know, this market I feel is conditioned to like, okay, good news, love it. Bad news, gonna attack viciously. It's like, you know, you want someone who's genuinely gonna tell you the good and the bad. Like that's the thing that I feel like people are here. They're kind of just like, if it's confirmation bias, I love it. If it's not, I'm unsubscribing and I'm leaving. And I'm like, well, how are we supposed to be honest as YouTubers or influencers in general if we can't tell you the good and the bad, just the good? Like it doesn't make sense, right? It's a two-way street. And something you brought up that I will say that I see a lot in my community from just seeing the comments and stuff on YouTube, a lot of people are literally selling their multipliers away. And in my opinion, this is one of the worst times to do it because of, you know, like you said, short-term capital gains tax, you know, is BITCH. And the thing is this, right? You never know which crypto is going to do this and pull an art block. And we've seen it happen time and time again. And the last thing you want to do as a retail investor who's already got it stacked against you is give away your multipliers for a 2x. What are your thoughts on people that are just constantly swapping back and forth? Because I see it a lot.
I think they're gonna hate it when they have to look at like the bill. You know, I think everyone has to go through that. I went through that. You know, I was in the midst of building ODAP, and that was costing me a lot of money, and then I had to pay a lot of taxes. You know, so that was a big learning moment for me because, you know, I went from, you know, pretty decent sized whale to not so much of a whale. And, you know, I'm in better days now, but like it was frustrating because like I didn't really realize, you know, how much of an impact it was going to have. So, you know, I do feel like holding is going to be, there's, when you're a little bit more educated about what the consequences are, I think that's what's going to help you be a stronger investor or stronger holder, because it's like, okay, you know, maybe you could get away with some money early, but like the thing is like, you don't really want, you want to have these positions where you could hold them long term and feel good about it. And I know it doesn't always work like that. You know, it's, unfortunately, it's just the reality we live in because the sector moves so fast, and it is what it is, you know. But the main priority, or what we want as a goal, is to stay somewhere for a long period of time so we can get to those long-term capital gains, retain most of those profits, and you know, try not to learn that lesson the hard way. You know, there's a lot of people that went cycles and cycles and cycles. It's over for them, you know. Learn that shit your first time, you know, or don't have a first time, you know. There's a lot of guys I know that 4 or 5 cycles in, and then they get some crazy ass bill and they're like, oh my God, what do I do? Like, they're fucked, you know. So don't do it, you know. Just stay on top of your things, and don't be, you know, oh, I'm Mr. Expert because I'm, you know, jumping from this pick to this pick to that pick. Like, just don't try to follow the crowd on what the current topic is. You know, me and your art, like what we like to do is we highlight good projects or whatever, but that doesn't mean we can hold every project we highlight. There's a lot of projects I highlight or I've promoted or talked about that I don't even hold, but it's because it's a good project, you know. And you have to give people coming in new opportunities if there is one, you know. You know, and I don't think a lot of people understand what's, you know, they have this, I don't know where the expectation came from, to be honest, where like they feel like, you know, YouTuber says something, or, you know, some influencer says something, they got to all go to this, and they got to pivot from one spot to the next, or, you know, like all this different things. And then they, because they see the turbulence of those people doing that, they're like, oh man, you know, I should have did it too. It's like, no, like just because you lost 30%, 20%, which is casual in the sector, doesn't mean that the token's over. There's still a lot of growth to be had, and the fact that it was a blue chip to begin with is the reason why it was called. So, you know, I think a lot of these emotions, you got to get over that emotional part of turbulence, you know, especially if you know the pick is a good pick, you know.
Yeah, and the thing is this, right? You know, like I'm just thinking about the bear market when we're buying Art Block and LCX at 3 cents, Art Block 7 cents.
Yeah.
Like all these picks, you don't find a general consensus of, okay, everyone's bullish. No, everyone was bearish. Like people right now, the ones I see that are freaking out about the cycle now, this is just sideways action. This is nothing like to freak out about. Like when we saw, I mean, I know you and I talked about this a lot in the past. When Terra Luna went down, the first time we saw a top 10 crypto literally go down the gutter, and then FTX, like that was real fear, because that was when, like, holy crap, like, you know, no crypto company is really safe from this if it, you know, were to go a certain way. But you know, this need to constantly, you know, not be patient, to feel comfortable in an emerging marketplace. That is what I notice is keeping people away from making gains, is because they just don't know how to hold a crypto for like 2 weeks. It's like, and like you said, you know, we may come out with a different call here and there. It doesn't mean you have to chase every call. You know, in fact, we actually discourage that, because if you do that, you're going to be spreading yourself too thin.
Yeah.
You know, the goal is for you guys to get exposure, to have the option to research, the option to maybe buy that crypto if you like it. We're not telling you to have 100 picks. We're telling you have conviction in, you know, a select few. And then if you want to put some money that you're going to maybe throw away for, like, you know, stuff you don't need in real life, then you can put someone else into some of these other picks. But, you know, I feel like the main issue is not being your own investor, kind of like being a sheep in a way, but also just not being patient. Like literally, if you had just bought Art Block at 7 cents and you just didn't do anything for 2 years, you just came back today and saw it at $3, you would have made more money just doing that than this whole, you know, always searching for the next pick and then constantly trading away multipliers. So I really feel like that's the big issue, is people just don't know how to have that confidence to buy in the red and just wait.
Patience. Yeah.
It really is a patient waiting game. And even from here, right? Like I see, like Dion, you could probably answer this one. Someone's asking about altcoin season right here. What do you think about this?
Well, the dominance is already at 50%. or something like that. And I think it went under that. So even with the capital inflows from the ETFs, we're still seeing Bitcoin dominance go down. So just because you see a high number on Bitcoin, or just because you see a lot of institutional investment inside of Bitcoin, doesn't mean that that's where all the liquidity is. You know, keep in mind that Bitcoin is, like, for instance, you guys ever look at different exchanges, and then they have bridges for you to purchase a particular token, and the token is backed by Bitcoin liquidity. So, you know, it'll be like, you know, ticker 1 / Bitcoin, you know, ticker XRP / Bitcoin, ETH / Bitcoin. So, you know, just because you're seeing institutional investment go into Bitcoin, or you're seeing, you know, all of that, that doesn't mean that the other tokens don't have liquidity pools based on Bitcoin. You know, they could have USDT pools, they could have ETH pools. You know, there's different pools per token. So don't get too stuck on the ticker. You know, always think about ticker liquidity, you know, because it's the coin and then the liquidity that's backing the coin. So keep in mind that.
Yeah, well said. I just checked. Bitcoin dominance has been around 53% for the past week. I see fear and greed index is at 55, which is somewhat neutral. I actually like it when fear and greed is like in that neutral zone, because it means it can go either way to fear or way to greed. And oftentimes when you capitalize on these quick swings, like the other day, week rather, when Bitcoin went to like 56K, that was a crazy buying opportunity, you know. And that's the thing, you know, sometimes these opportunities come very fast and aggressive. And like that one summer of 2022 in June, when Bitcoin hit 15K, Ethereum hit 900. Art block even went to, I think, 5 cents. And I didn't buy that dip, but I was like, holy crap. Imagine buying, you know, art block 5 cents, or, you know, Bitcoin,
Yeah,
even
I mean,
Bitcoin 15K.
a lot of these, I mean, I don't care what ETH and Bitcoin do. I mean, I could store value in those things, no problems, fine, you know, but the altcoins, there's way more growth to be had. And, you know, they're emerging marketplaces, you know, and there's just more money to be had. When you're looking at the bigger numbers, you know, I mean, you could say Bitcoin is good buy right now, but maybe it has another 3-4x in it, you know, but there's also a lot of other coins out there that you could do 10, 20, 15, you know, whatever. I think Bitcoin and ETH are just large ass pools for super whales. You know, those are pools, oceans meant for super whales. So if you're not a super whale, it's really no point really being there. So saturated, you know. If you got, I mean, even a $500,000 person, you know, it's really not a lot of money. $1 million person, it's not a lot of money, you know. So
large caps, to me, I feel were great buys in the bear market. Now I notice low caps are better because you want to be emerging marketplaces. Like, yeah, I'm not going to buy Cardano now, HBAR, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Like, the time to buy those, if you were going to buy them, was in the bear market. Now I feel like emerging low cap marketplaces are the way to go. And I notice you primarily like low caps. Like, you don't have as many hedges as I do, but you do have a couple. But can you talk on the emerging marketplace? What you feel?
You only need one. I mean, you know, I always have this rule of thumb where it's like, okay, you got one store of value, and then your other plays are a bunch of, like, you know, you could either have a forever bag in each of those, but you still got flips, all those, and then you can flip all those back into your store of value. You know, like, for instance, ArcBlock to me is a store of value. It's its own mainnet. It's going to have its own ecosystem. It's a 3.0. Like, yeah, it's an ERC20, but it has its own mainnet. It's different. So yeah, that's an emerging market. You can store value there. But, you know, if you take a look on the other side of things, it's like, well, if you want a larger store of value and you want less volatility than ArcBlock, because keep in mind it still has volatility, then you would buy ETH, you know, or buy Bitcoin, because the volatility is only 1%, 5%, maybe 5-10%, you know, which is not a lot of money. So maybe you might see one day Bitcoin go from 60K to 55K or 50K. You know, that's not a big difference in percentage. You know, you don't let the number scare you. Just look at the percentages. You know, so for me, I like storing value in ETH. I like ArcBlock a lot. But my other plays are going to be like NCT, Dragon Chain, LCX, ALF, Math Token. You know, those are all those other plays that I want to hold through the cycle. And at some point I'll take profit. But, you know, A lot of these coins shouldn't be touched. You shouldn't be really selling shit. You know, like we're so early. You know, the market alt season hasn't really started. Bitcoin dominance hasn't really went under 50% yet. So there's still a lot of growth to be had. Like that's perfect chart right there. Look at that. It's a nice chart.
I was just gonna say the chart is starting to mimic like art block in a way where you see how it just keeps going higher and higher and higher. I call this like the treadmill, the stairs, the penthouse, back to the staircase, back to the penthouse, and now we're back in the staircase.
Right there is distribution happening. So like, you know, although that people might not like a fast swing on LCX, what's happening is it's going to be a stronger, more stable ecosystem because you're going to have a bigger population holding different tokens on that LCX. So eventually, when this thing does swing up, it's going to have a stronger swing than a lot of these other small caps. Because see, we're dealing with smaller caps like 500 million or under, you have less population, so you're hoping that population has strong hands, you know, for that token, and typically they will. You know, if they're small cap people, like they're typically gonna be holders because they know what they're holding. LCX is going to attract a variety of different types of holders. I think they're going to attract large and small cap holders, but I think everyone knows where it's going to go. So like I think that because of how long it takes, you know, I think that the impatience is going to shuffle those tokens around for a decent amount of time where you're going to have that nice divided distribution, which is going to be a more stabilized upswing, I feel. So, you know, I've been storing a lot of value in LCX. I've been using that as a store of value in a way, you know, from these other plays that we've had. And I've been able to collect a lot of those tokens too. And it's really just because they're so cheap. You know, you're getting 3x per dollar, you know, it's like, why not? You know, it's not going to zero. So, I mean, I know we could theoretically, you know, we could always go to zero, but, you know, the odds are in our favor.
I kind of see a lot of these micro caps as blue chips now. Like Artblock to me, LCX, like we're never going to see our average again of like the bear market. So like what you said, like, yeah, you could still have a hedge, but now I agree. Like these can pretty much be hedges. You know, 27-cent LCX is up 9x from the bottom price, and Artblock, I don't know, 55x. Like at some point, these micro caps become blue chips, and that's the thing. You know, if you're buying at the all-time high, I think the risk is higher versus at the bottom price, or at least DCing on the way up. You mitigate your risk over time, which is why we always emphasize buying these dips when you see them, not waiting until you see it reach a new all-time high and then saying, okay, I'll research. I see someone said, yeah, I don't know who you're referring to. I don't really get into that stuff, but I just know from last cycle, everyone kept saying, like, for example, like Bitcoin's going to 100K, you know, so on and so forth. You're going to see different opinions. You're going to see politicians, maybe Jerome Powell say something, who knows. The goal is not to be like, let me find the answer to everything. Just stay in your lane, focus on what we're telling you, right? You buy these cryptos when you see discounts, you hold, and then you wait for the right time to sell. And then literally just doing that, you'd be surprised how much money you can make. I think people get so distracted and they just they're constantly just
everyone wants to be too smart and they're too stupid. That's the problem. You know, there's a lot of that in this sector. You have more people. You have a lot of people that think they know what they're talking about and they don't. You know, they have a lot of that. But again, to piggyback off what you're saying, simplicity is best. You know, it's buy, hold, stack, shut the fuck up. That's it. That's literally it. That's all you got to do. You know, and just have consistency. You know, sometimes you're not gonna do well, but like, you know, just keep at it, and eventually it'll work out for you. You know, I think a lot of people could do really well in this sector if they just had more courage and patience. And, you know, a lot of us have taken our rugs. You know, there's been times where I've lost 60-80% of my money doing something, you know, or whatever. And, you know, everyone has that lesson at some point, you know, even experts. So I do feel like a lot of people just got to, you know, suck it up, have accountability. You are in a very risky market, and, you know, just do your own research and make sure you really like what you're looking at and go by that, you know. I'm pretty confident what we got. You know, a lot of people, they get mad because I'm not talking about ARC block, or I'm not talking about LCX enough, or math token, or ALF, or, you know, and it's just like, I can't talk about everything at the same time, you know, and I'm holding quite a bit of money in all of these tokens. You don't see me complaining during turbulence because I know we're nowhere near finished in this cycle. Like, we just started. Our alt season hasn't even started yet, you know. And right now, a lot of people, you can only choose between 100 million market caps right now. I think only math tokens like 60 or 70 million market cap right now. But the times of 10 million market cap are over. Like, that's it. Now people are going to choose between 100, 200, 300 million market caps, and you're going to be holding to the billions and then higher billions. And like, that's where we're at. So, you know, for the people that were stupid enough to sell off their bottom entry for 2x, 3x, you're fucked. You're going to have to buy back in, and you're going to have less tokens. So again, the patience, you know, is always going to transfer the money, you know, to whoever. I mean, the money's always going to get transferred to the most patient person. So, you know, just try to, you know, stay consistent, and, you know, stop bitching so much. Just wait. You know, a lot of the people that I see bitching are like, haven't even been here for like a year, 2 years, you know, 3 years.
5 minutes,
yeah, 5-minute people, you know.
Look at this comment. You guys are the realest dudes. Use case. I don't know if you saw this show growing up, Dion. Hacker Show. It's like similar to Dragon Ball Z, but I was talking about it on Discord. Use case and Kakarot approved. Shout out to you, Goku. But I brought up map token here. I wanted to just show everyone the chart. You see how quick, Dion, and you remember this too. It went from 19 cents to 86, and now it's trading sideways at this 40-cent range.
That's perfect.
See, a lot of people that ask the questions on, hey, Dion, hey, John, you still bullish? They ask it during this time, when this is the time to not be talking, but buying. Like, this is accumulation. People think like your crypto has to do this at all times. Otherwise, hey, Dion, hey, John, you guys still holding this? I'm like we're teaching you guys literally like to be patient for one, but two, to believe in what you're holding. Like, listen, you see how quick this went up? It probably took, what, 7 days? But look at the market cap. It's still 46 million. So realistically, you know, someone, you know, inexperienced may come on here and be like, oh, I missed it. It already pumped. And then I'm like, no, you didn't. It just, you know, scaled up a little bit. But like LCX, like Art Block, over time, everyone that said they missed Art Block 20 cents is saying the same thing about it at $1 and $2.
Do the yearly on that? Yeah, there you go. Look, you see that? How it went up sideways, went up sideways,
Yeah.
went up sideways. That's what's happening on Math Token. That's what's happening on ALF right now. Like, just because, like, I can make a video today and call this, and if I don't talk about it, it doesn't mean that pick is not good no more. You know, like the videos and somebody calling something, the time frame of them doing so does not mean that's how long that pick is going to last. That's the nonsense, you know. So, and maybe it's just them trying to get us to say, oh yeah, I like it, you know, just to like put it out there. Maybe, I don't know.
I stopped doing that. Whenever I get questions, I'm like, listen,
I don't know, you know, or like, what's that?
I say, listen, because in my viewpoint, I put myself in the shoes of them. If I keep reassuring them, they're not going to learn to be confident in their own picks. It's like literally, guys, me and Dion giving you a keys to a car, which is what assets are, by the way. They're investment vehicles. We're giving you the keys. We're telling you to drive, and then the ones asking the questions are the ones who keep stopping the car on the highway. Hey, John. Hey, Dion. Should I keep going? Should I keep? You know, and I'm like, yes, keep going. You're gonna crash if you stop. Just keep going down the highway. You know, think of it that way. If you need a visual, like, we're giving you keys to cars. Now it's up to you to turn the damn car on and drive. Just friggin' drive.
Yeah, like, I mean, keep on. We're in the same boat as you. You know, everyone that's buying in the same place has to sell in the same place, right? So, you know, keep in mind, like, we don't know. Like, we like the project. Everything looks good with it. Everything's going good. Environment's good. But like, a fucking meteor comes out and fucking destroys California. You know, like, shit happens. You know, like, when bad news happens, everyone's gonna hear about it about the same time. So, you know, it's not gonna be like, you know, you get bad news from us, everyone's going to get bad news at the same time, you know? So It just depends on what's going on in the markets. There could be black swan events and all that stuff. We have no predictors on that. So like we're confident in the project and everything it's doing in the marketplace and where we're at in the cycle, but again, do your own research, pay attention to your shit. We're doing a bunch of other stuff as well. And we can't babysit you every day. It's like, we want to do well too, but there's a fine line between like, people needing to be accountable themselves and me trying to help you. You know what I mean? Because I'm always going to help you, I'm always going to try to help you, but you better be my friend on the up. You better be my friend on the down, don't be fucking around, like we're telling you from experience how things are, because we know there's ups, we know there's downs. We know there's bad news. We know there's all sorts of things that can happen. So it's like, we want to make sure that people are not over leveraging. See, the problem, I think the biggest problem in the sector is over leveraging, and that's what creates these horrible crashes. When people over leverage, you're not going to have the best scalability. You're going to have too many spikes. You're not going to have that up, sideways, up, sideways, up, sideways, So I try to make sure that people understand the risk more than they understand the reward, because the more people that understand the risk, the better it'll be for everybody. Because I don't want somebody over leveraging all their money into something and they can't hold or they can't afford to hold because they over leveraged. So you don't want those types of buyers in there shoving everything they can in there, because guess what? They got to take it. They got to rip everything out because they can't afford to hold it. So I've always, when I talk about crypto, I've always kind of put forward that, hey, we go to fucking zero anytime. Keep in mind that shit happens, because I don't want to see over leverage. Like I saw, like when I hear people say, oh man, I lost 50,000 on this trade. How? Why? Why'd you lose 50,000 on this trade? It was called yesterday. It was called 2 days ago. It was called a week ago. Why would you lose that much money? Well, I threw my whole portfolio at it. Well, like, guess what? That's your fault. You should have not over leveraged. Should have DCA'd, or you should have not been too greedy. Like those are all these little steps that people need to be self accountable for, instead of blaming turbulence on us or anybody, so try not to over leverage, understand the risk more than you can understand the reward, and you're never going to feel that horrible pain when something bad happens.
I hope you guys listen to what he said, because he's spot on. Like when you over leverage yourself, you become emotional by default, because deep down, whether you want to admit it or not, that it's money you're not willing to lose, especially if you guys have kids or you're in school, you have rent or whatever, or you're just, it's money you need. Like maybe your phone, if you don't make it back, your phone service goes out. Like that's why it really does pay to sacrifice. I always say this on my channel, like, delay gratification, start a side hustle, because the minute you start being over leveraged and going all in with that mentality, that's the minute you become emotional, and essentially your freedom of making your own choices in a logical manner go out the window, because now you're emotionally tied to the asset. You're married to the crypto, and then essentially any negative catalyst or news, you're going to be up at night, stressing out, losing sleep. So it's definitely important to not be over leveraged. And I brought up DFI, by the way, because another example of a chart that you can see it sideways scales, sideways scales, sideways. But people get obsessed with this. Oh my God, it's down 12%. And another example of why you guys should be not flinching, just buying these dips when you see them, because when you zoom out, this becomes this, which is how the bull cycle looks.
It looks good. That's a good chart. That's a very nice chart.
Very nice chart, yeah. But people don't like to buy in this. They buy in this, and it's like, okay, now your risk is higher, because if you bought it at $5.32, now you're down. But if you bought it, say, here 40 cents, or I think $1.55 when we got in around there, you're up still. So that's the thing, right? Multipliers only happen when you make your entries accordingly, which in this case is buying in the red. So that was definitely a good message on our part, especially you, with over leveraging yourself, because people do need to hear that. I think a lot of people.
I mean, I don't want it. I don't want them in there either. You know, like, because I know the way they're gonna hold. You know, I don't want the less people we get that are over leveraging, or these people that like hop in, hop out. Like, I don't want them there. You know, they first they fuck themselves because of taxes and all the other dumb shit they do from jumping around, and then they fuck everybody else, you know, because of scalability, because they're throwing way too much money at something that they're not fully confident in. So it's, you know, I do think that over leverage is a big issue, and you know, you could always tell by the reactions. You know, you see a 5-10%, you see somebody complaining, you're like, dude, nothing's happening. Like,
Yeah.
no, you know. So, what's your top 5 picks right now, bro? What are you bullish on right now?
I would say Art Block and LCX are still the top 2 for me. I think those are going to scale very nicely.
Same here. Yeah.
I like GFI a lot. I think GFI and is backed by big players. I think RWA and DeFi is going to be huge. I'm just pulling up my holdings here. I like Forda's a new one that I got into that I'm getting very bullish on. It's in Web3. They're pretty much trying to be like a hybrid PRQ Chainlink without the migration of PRQ. And I think they're actually working with Chainlink to help companies stop from getting hacked and losing money. So the incentive for Forda is definitely there. It's also backed by Coinbase. I like that one a lot. That's what Artblock, LCX, Forda, GFI. And then the next one I would say
but John, what about
yeah, right? What about this? What about that? You know what? I'm gonna make the 5th one a meme coin, because a meme coin, although it's riskier, I think this one's gonna be good. Turbo. I'm very bullish on Turbo. I think a listing's happening soon. They've been very proactive on Twitter, and the chart looks amazing. I'll pull it up real quick just to show you. Meme coins are risky, guys. Don't go all in, but I want to show you guys like Turbo, which, by the way, has a trend with AI and is the top 10 exchanges, the top 10 wallets rather. The majority of them are exchanges. It's as close to fair launch as it gets. But look at this chart. It's forming a new consolidated pattern. Just came down a little bit, but not too long ago, it was at was it 12014. This crypto, do not be surprised if it gets on Binance too. And I'll just leave it there at that. But if I had to pick a real top 5, I would still say CASHAPP is still up there. It's more of a safer play. But it is, one of the better little ones that I think is on the up and up. So what about you before we close this out?
I like, ABT LCX for sure, like you were saying. And I like ALF and Math Token. I'm like highlighting right now. I like NCT as well. I know it's a larger cap for tokenomics, but like entry is pretty good. I think it's a 2 billion supply token, but I'm thinking like, $1-2 on it. I like Dragon Chain still, and that's about it. I mean, it's really the same 6, ABT, LCX, NCT, Dragon Chain, ALF, and Math. Those are my favorite right now. And then of course all the other ones that we've gone over. I mean, I still like all of them, like Arrow and GFI.
Yeah, all the comments is PNG, Arrow, and I'm like, guys,
like,
just give me 5
still good picks. It's still good picks. It's just can't talk about fucking everything all the time. So.
I hold a very big bag of PNG and Arrow. It's literally like
can we grab the list first?
People just want to hear their crypto. Like if it's not number 1 or number 2, it's like, John, are you still bullish? Dion, what the hell? How's it not number 2? How's it not number 1? I'm like,
Dion.
Dion, I just want to say, man, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this live stream as usual. I know you're a busy guy, and but man, I really do appreciate you, man, for being on here.
It's gonna be like I couldn't. My time zones are all messed up right now, so I have like major jet lag. But no, man, I love talking to you. It was awesome. It was cool getting on BitBoy's stream too. That was cool. I have that little 3-way there, and we'll keep doing more stuff together. And it's always cool, man. Like it's cool to meet real people always. So I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Yeah, peace out, guys.